The aroma of roasted lamb wafted through the air, mingling with the laughter and clinking of glasses. I surveyed the dining room, taking in the impeccable white tablecloth, the flickering candles, and the smiling faces of our guests. Alexandra caught my eye, her radiant smile sending a familiar warmth through me. "Everything looks wonderful, darling," she whispered, giving my hand a gentle squeeze. I nodded, allowing a sense of pride to wash over me. This was my life. A successful career, a beautiful home, and a loving marriage. We had it all. As I raised my glass to welcome our guests, a part of me couldn't help but revel in the perfection of the moment. Little did I know, it was all an illusion. The night wore on, and our guests eventually departed, leaving Alexandra and me alone in the kitchen. I gathered the dirty dishes, lost in thoughts of the evening's success, when a hushed voice from the living room caught my attention. "I don't know how much longer I can keep up this charade." My breath caught in my throat as I recognized Alexandra's voice. I crept closer, straining to hear. "Daniel is a great man, but I'm not sure I love him anymore," she confided in Emily, her closest friend. The words pierced my heart like a dagger. Alexandra, the woman I had devoted my life to, was unhappy. Waves of doubt and confusion crashed over me, threatening to drown me in their depths. Composing myself, I stepped into the living room, feigning ignorance. "Everything all right, ladies?" Alexandra's gaze met mine, her eyes guarded. "Of course, darling. Just catching up with Emily." I forced a smile, burying the turmoil raging within me. The facade would remain intact, at least for now. In the following weeks, I noticed a subtle shift in Alexandra's behavior. She seemed distracted, her mind elsewhere during our conversations. I chalked it up to stress from work, but a nagging suspicion lingered. Then, one evening, she mentioned a new colleague named Liam. The way her face lit up as she described him set off alarm bells in my mind. I watched, helpless, as their friendship blossomed, their interactions becoming increasingly intimate. "Liam is such a breath of fresh air," Alexandra gushed one night over dinner. "He understands me in a way no one else does." I swallowed the lump in my throat, forcing a tight-lipped smile. "That's great, honey. I'm glad you have someone to confide in." But deep down, I knew something was brewing, something that threatened to shatter the perfect world I had built. The signs became impossible to ignore. Alexandra's late nights at the office, her defensive demeanor when I inquired about Liam, and the lingering scent of an unfamiliar cologne on her clothes. Pieces of the puzzle were falling into place, painting a picture I desperately didn't want to see. One evening, as I prepared for bed, I noticed Alexandra's phone vibrating on the nightstand. A name flashed across the screen, Liam. Without thinking, I swiped to reveal their message thread. My heart sank as I read the intimate exchanges, the affectionate words, and the plans for secret rendezvous. The evidence was undeniable. My wife was having an affair. I shouted Alexandra's name. Alexandra appeared in the doorway, her brow furrowed. "What's wrong?" Without a word, I tossed her phone onto the bed. The message thread was open, the damning evidence laid bare. Her eyes widened as she scanned the screen. "Daniel, I can explain." "Explain what?" I snapped. "That you've been lying to me? That you've been sleeping with Liam behind my back?" Alexandra flinched, her cheeks flushing. "How did you?" "So it's true." The confirmation stung like a slap across the face. "How could you do this to me? To us?" She lowered her gaze, shame etched across her features. "I'm sorry, Daniel. I never meant for this to happen." "Never meant for it to happen?" I scoffed. "You made a choice, Alexandra. You chose to betray my trust, to destroy everything we've built together." "Please, let me explain," she pleaded, tears welling in her eyes. But I had heard enough. With a shake of my head, I turned and left the room, leaving her to wallow in her guilt. In the days that followed, Alexandra tried to make amends, but the wound was too deep. I retreated into myself, my mind consumed by a single thought: revenge. Then, an opportunity presented itself. Alexandra's sister, Olivia, was getting married, and Liam was the wedding planner. A twisted smile crept across my face as a plan began to take shape. "I think we should attend Olivia's wedding," I announced one evening over dinner. Alexandra's fork clattered against her plate. Are you sure? After everything that's happened? Of course, I replied, feigning nonchalance. It's an important day for your family. We wouldn't want to miss it. She eyed me skeptically, but eventually nodded. All right, if that's what you want. Little did she know, it was merely the first step in my grand unveiling. The wedding day arrived, and I plastered on a smile as we mingled with guests. Alexandra remained by my side, her unease palpable. Across the room, I spotted Liam, his charming grin setting my teeth on edge. He caught my gaze and offered a polite nod, oblivious to the storm brewing within me. As the ceremony commenced, I waited patiently, biding my time. When the vows were exchanged and the newlyweds shared their first kiss, I rose to my feet. Excuse me, everyone, I called out, my voice cutting through the applause. I have an announcement to make. Heads turned in my direction, faces etched with curiosity. It pains me to say this, but it seems my wife, Alexandra, has been unfaithful. I gestured towards Liam. With the very man who planned this beautiful wedding. Gasps rippled through the crowd as Liam's face drained of color. Daniel, what are you doing? Alexandra hissed, her eyes wide with horror. But I was relentless. You see, Liam and Alexandra have been carrying on an affair behind my back. I thought you all deserved to know the truth. I took out some pictures that I took from Alexandra's phone, showing her and Liam in a passionate embrace, as well as a few chats that were explicit, proving their affair. Proof was in front of everyone to see. Silence hung heavy in the air, broken only by the sound of Olivia's sobs. Alexandra stood frozen, her mouth agape, while Liam cowered under the weight of 100 accusatory glares. In that moment, the veil of deception had been lifted, and the consequences of their actions laid bare for all to see. In the aftermath of the wedding, Alexandra's family turned their backs on her. Her friends followed suit, shunning her for her betrayal. As for me, I reveled in their suffering, basking in the knowledge that my revenge had been exacted. They had been stripped of their dignity, their reputations in tatters. Yet, a part of me remained unsatisfied. The wound they had inflicted cut deeper than I could have imagined, and the ache for retribution persisted. But for now, I would savor their humiliation, letting the bitterness seep into their souls, just as it had mine. Days turned into weeks, and the silence between Alexandra and me grew deafening. The once vibrant home we shared felt suffocating, weighed down by the ghosts of our shattered past. One evening, as I sat brooding in the study, a tentative knock broke the stillness. Daniel? Alexandra's voice wavered. Can we talk? I lifted my gaze, meeting her pleading eyes. What is there to talk about? She took a deep breath, steeling herself. I know I've made mistakes, unforgivable ones, but I need you to understand how sorry I am. Pushing herself off the doorframe, she crossed the room and sank to her knees before me. What Liam and I had was a moment of weakness, a lapse in judgment. But you? Her voice cracked. You are my life, Daniel. Without you, I'm nothing. I regarded her impassively, my heart hardened by the memory of her betrayal. Please, she begged, tears spilling down her cheeks. Give me a chance to make things right. I'll do anything to earn your forgiveness. For a fleeting moment, I wavered, the echo of our once blissful love tugging at my resolve. But then, Liam's smug face flashed before my eyes, reigniting the flames of rage. Forgiveness? I scoffed. After what you've done, you and Liam deserve to suffer for the pain you've caused me. Alexandra recoiled as if struck, her eyes widening in horror. What are you saying, Daniel? A cold, determined smile spread across my lips. You'll see soon enough. The next few days passed in a blur as I set my plan in motion. With a few well-placed calls and strategic moves, I ensured that Liam's world would come crumbling down around him. First, I leaked incriminating photos of Liam and Alexandra to the press, tarnishing his reputation in the wedding industry. Then, I pulled some strings with influential clients, convincing them to sever ties with his company. Alexandra watched helplessly as Liam's career unraveled, her pleas for mercy falling on deaf ears. Daniel, please, she begged one night. her voice thick with desperation. Isn't this enough? He's lost everything. I rounded on her, my eyes blazing with fury. And what about me, Alexandra? What did I lose when you betrayed me? She flinched, shrinking back from the intensity of my gaze. This is far from over, I growled, turning on my heel and leaving her to drown in the consequences of her actions. In the end, Liam was left destitute and disgraced, his once promising career in tatters. And Alexandra? She could only watch in horror as the man she loved descended into a depths of vengeance she never thought possible. With a heavy heart, I filed for divorce, severing the final ties that bound us together. As I signed the papers, a weight lifted from my shoulders, the burden of my shattered dreams finally laid to rest. I had unveiled the truth, and though the path to redemption had been brutal, I emerged on the other side, scarred but victorious. This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your precious time. If you enjoyed this story, then please make sure you subscribe to this channel. That would help me a lot. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.